Hello students, today we are going to discuss about nature and significance of management. There is a very old saying in English, when two people ride a horse, one must be the leader. Well, management is something similar to that. Just imagine about 60 or 70 people working in a factory or any other business unit, and there is no leader. There is no one to organize, there is no one to plan, and there is no one to really lay down the policy of the institution or the policy of a business unit. What would happen in such a situation? There would be complete chaos. No one would know what to do, no one would know what the goals are, no one would know how to coordinate the policies, and of course, no objective or goal would be achieved. So, this is what makes management so important. Management is the heart and soul of any business unit. In fact, it is the heart and soul of any unit, not just business unit. It may be an educational institution, it could be government offices, no matter what. Any organization needs proper management. Now, what really constitutes management? You see, it's not just about having a degree in management. It's about having practical ideas, about knowing what affects other people, about knowing what the policies are, and about how to implement them. Ground zero, that is the place where things really matter. Reality, the real situation on the ground, that is called ground zero. And lots of managers from elite schools, from business schools, they have no idea as to how they should implement various policies in order to achieve their goals. Now, what does management really constitute? One of the most important aspects of management is planning. You see, whenever a manager goes to work, the first thing that he looks at is his schedule, his diary. He looks at what his plan is. He finds out from his subordinates or his co-workers what the day-to-day schedule, week to week, and every single month by month, what they plan to do, how they intend to do it, and what their objectives are. Now, again, you see, number of people working together, there would be clash of ideas, there would be clashes of personalities, and so on. So, you see, management has to be divided. You have upper level management, you have middle level management, and you have floor supervisors. They are also a part of management, but the lowermost rung. But they are equally important. I mean, you cannot ignore a supervisor, a floor supervisor, because he is the one who organizes everything at the bottom level. Yes, responsibility increases as you go up the ladder. Someone who is a CEO, the chief executive officer, okay, or the director, he has the complete responsibility of the business unit, and therefore, because of his responsibility, his remuneration is high, his salaries, perks, and benefits are also very high. But the reason behind that is not because of his work schedule, it is because of his responsibility. Someone who is in the middle level management, he has less responsibility, but workload may increase. Someone at the bottom level, a worker or a supervisor, has less responsibility, and therefore, because of his less responsibility, he gets less salary, less pay, and less benefits, and less allowances. But responsibility is always from bottom to top. So, management is an art. It's not something that comes naturally to everyone. Some people make very good managers. They may not have been good students, but they make very good managers. On the other hand, there are some excellent students who make very poor managers. Because managing a business is about human interaction. It's about how you interact with other people working in the same place. Remember, when 60, 70 or 100 or 200 people are working in the same place, there is bound to be friction. There is bound to be a clash of ideas, and sometimes clash of personalities. Sometimes it can vitiate the situation. The work atmosphere gets completely vitiated, and as a result, the entire organization suffers. But management goes beyond that. Management is an art, a skill, something that can be learned, but at the same time, it takes a little bit of courage to develop certain leadership ideas. For example, there are certain things that you won't learn in an Indian Institute of Management. The best management institutes in India, the Indian Institutes of Management, even there, they won't teach you everything. some of the things that you will have to learn on the spot. Not everything is taught in the college. Something has to be acquired. Okay, coordination, organization, okay, directing, staffing. These things, although they exist on paper, and you will be taught about how these things are done and implemented, but there are certain skills that you will have to develop while you are actually working on the job. Coordination. There are different units of management. You see, there are different departments in an institution. There are different departments in a business unit. All those departments have their own department heads. And sometimes it is important that all the department heads get together and draw out a plan for succeeding, draw out a plan for maximizing profit. Remember, every business unit also has certain social responsibilities. Keeping those social responsibilities in mind, a business has to try and earn maximum profit. And for that, coordination is extremely important. And so is staffing. You need adequate staff. If you don't have enough staff, there is no way anyone can function properly, because some people would be overworked. When people are overworked, they perform poorly. If people are all the time stressed out, they have too much work on the table, most of them will underperform. If on the other hand, work is shared properly, and work can only be shared if there is proper staffing. There are different business units. Each business unit has a department, each department has a sub-department, and each one has a manager or an assistant manager. And then there are accountants and clerks who work in the department, and they form a single unit. And that unit as a whole interacts and coordinates with other units. And in this way, the management level goes up right from the bottom to the top, and each one works as a single unit, coordinated together to make a whole. So, coordination, organization, planning. These are important aspects of management. No management institution will teach you all of these things. You'll read about them, you'll write about them in your examinations. But when it comes to on the spot, making decisions on the spot about various aspects of a business unit, skill will be required. And that skill will take a little time to develop. You may have to work for 4 or 5 years before you actually see that kind of development of skill in you. So management is an art, it's a skill. It's almost like a science, and it will take a long time for you to develop managerial abilities. Some people have it naturally, leadership ability is there. But still, managing a business is different from managing a class or managing an educational institution. When you manage an educational institution, profit is not the main objective. When you manage a business unit, profit is an objective. Okay, you have to look at price factors, and you have to look at many other factors, price and demand, supply, everything. Okay, and you will also have to see labor, whether your laborers, that is the workers, are satisfied or not. If people are not satisfied, that can result in poor production levels also. So management is an important aspect of any business unit, and you have got skilled managers who take different, for example, finance and marketing, two very important aspects of any business unit. Finance and marketing has to be held by experts. If you turn out to be a chartered accountant and hired by a good business unit, you will probably be looking about the financial aspect of the business. If you have a job if you have a degree in marketing, okay, management in marketing, then you will also be head of the marketing section, sales department, advertising department, different departments of any large corporation having different departments, hundreds of people working together. You will soon realize that it is not just a business unit, it's a social unit where people are constantly socially interacting with them. Staff, okay, sometimes you see people misunderstand what staff means. Staff does not mean just people working in a factory. Staff means all the people who work and coordinate their efforts to bring about the desired goal. And therefore, staffing a company is vitally important. If you need a general manager in marketing, you cannot hire someone who is not a general manager in marketing. You can't hire an electrical engineer. You need someone who has marketing skills to be a marketing manager. So there are various elements to management. One has to understand all these elements, and when you understand them thoroughly and put them all together, the desired goal can be achieved. So it has been often said according to Coons and O'Donnell, management is the art of getting things done through others. Now that's vitally important because you see, management will also involve a lot of directing. A manager has to direct. Remember, not order. There is a difference between ordering and directing. A person who orders is arrogant. A person who directs is well informed and well educated. A manager always directs his staff. He does not order arrogantly. He does not order his staff to get things done. Yes, a certain amount of firmness is required, but at the same time, courtesy also plays an important role. When you interact with other individuals, they also expect something from you. Self-respect is something that every single individual, right from the bottom, every single individual has self-respect. And keeping that self-respect in mind, directing is extremely important. So it's an art of getting the desired results from others, getting others to behave in the way you want to. That is management, and therefore and that is why it's a skill. As Coons and O'Donnell say, it is the way or the art of getting things done through others. A manager has a certain goal, a certain desire, certain target in mind, and he has to get other people to work towards those goals. And in so doing, everyone benefits, including the people at the lowermost level. Every single person working in the business unit gets benefit from the desired goal. So, as according to Coons and O'Donnell, management is something that is done of getting the art of getting work done through others. Then, according to George R. Terry, management is such a process which plans and controls men, machines, material, method, money, and market. It provides leadership, coordination, and direction to human efforts which help others to achieve the business objectives. The ultimate goal is to achieve business objectives, but the manner in which it is done is vitally important. A lot of people, no matter how well educated they are, they simply do not have the skills. They don't make very good managers. To make a good manager, you need human skills, not just education, not just a certificate showing that you are a manager from a good institution. You require the skill of interacting with people. Nature of management is a universal process. Management never stops. Management is something which is lifelong. You have to manage your own life, okay? Just like in a single family, everyone plays a role. The mother, the parents, okay, mother, father, both the parents play a role, and the siblings, the children also play a role. Management, a father manages the entire family. A manager manages the entire business, and it's not so easy sometimes. Managing a family also is not so easy. There are so many aspects to consider, but it is a universal process, something that occurs everywhere. Even small things like managing your own life as a student, managing your time, okay, managing your effort, managing your money. Your parents give you pocket money, you have to learn how to manage your pocket money. There are lots of things that you need. Everything in life actually requires some degree of management. When we think about management, often people think about business units and big managers, people walking around in a tie and suit, but it's not always like that. Good managers don't always walk around in ties and suits. Good managers are people who know how to direct their subordinates in a proper way so as the desired goal may be achieved. Then management is a goal-oriented activity to achieve specific goals. And management has every single manager at the back of his mind. Whenever he asks someone to do something, there is a goal in mind. There is something to be achieved, a target to be achieved. Therefore, management is always goal-oriented activity. Management is a group activity. Now, if there is only one person working in a factory, then there is hardly anything to manage. Okay, there is no other one to direct or to staff. But we know that in a business unit, often number of people work together. And that's why management is a group activity. Well, a number of people are acting together. Some may have good manners, some may not be so well mannered, some may be well educated, some may not be so well educated, some may be from a poor background, some may be from a rich background, whatever the background, but all of them have to work together. And that's why management is a social environment. A business unit is a social environment where a manager has to actually use all his skills in order to achieve a proper target. Management is a human activity. As I said, it's a social unit. People get together to participate in the process where the common goal is achieved, the common goal being the business goal. Also, it's important to understand that decision making process is a function of management. You see, as you climb up in the management ladder, your responsibility increases because your decision making powers increase. You see, a top level manager has to decide a lot of things. Okay, not just about purchase and sales, about advertisement, about interaction. As I said, big businesses play a role in social responsibility also. So managers have to make decisions of all kinds all the time. Every single day a manager is called upon to make decisions. So management is a decisive activity. And you need proper, and of course before you make a decision you need to be well informed. If you are poorly informed, a poorly informed manager is going to make bad decisions. Management is a science, it is an art, it is a skill. According to modern opinion, it is a profession. It is a profession because if you go to a management college, you will get MBA, Masters in Management, or Master of Business Administration. It's a master's degree, and it's a professional degree. Okay, a BCom, Bachelor of Commerce, is not a business. That kind of degree is a non-professional degree. But management is a professional, and therefore it's a professional degree. Professional degrees, of course, it shows you have professional skills, and your place in the market in the scheme of things will be much more. Your chance of getting a better job would be much more higher. Significance of management. Management is significant for the simple reason that without proper management, no goal can be achieved. When you set up a business unit, whether the business unit is large or small, whenever the business unit is set up, the idea is to achieve its goals, and a single person cannot achieve those goals. It's just not possible. And therefore, management is in every single way a group activity that is directed at achieving a set of specific goals. And this is why management is considered an art and a science. Then, management is something which is unavoidable. Just consider your own family. Your father manages the entire family. Okay, your mother helps out, and in some way even you help out. But would it be possible if your father were not directing and managing the family? It would be impossible. Every single family, large family, big, small family, whatever, a nuclear family or a joint family, management is necessary in every single unit, be it a joint family or a single family. People have to interact together and they have to be managed. Money has to be managed, incomes and expenditure has to be managed, and so on. Management is a science and it is also an art, but above all it is a profession. Okay, it is a skill which is in demand all over the world. Today, of course, there are many management colleges, and the number of managers which are being turned out every year in India is increasing. There are substandard colleges also, but there are very important and highly valued institutes of management. And if you are fortunate enough to get admission into one of those, you will see your life will change completely because it is a professional degree. Top level management. Let's discuss about the different levels of management. You see, top level management is where all the responsibility lies. Top level management is where the real skill is judged. You see, a person, whether he is good enough or not, will be judged when he reaches the topmost level. It takes time to reach the topmost level. A young man or a young girl starts out at the lower level. Okay, after a few years, he or she is promoted to the middle level. Middle level managers have a lot of responsibility, they have a lot of work, and at the same time, there is also some kind of work satisfaction as you go up the ladder. 20-30 years down the road, you will reach the senior most level of management position. There you will see suddenly that your net worth increases. You feel more important because you have been given the topmost position, but you will at the same time experience the weight of responsibility. You will realize that making a single bad decision can have terrible consequences, and therefore every single decision has to be weighed properly before you make the decision. Choices are part of life. Choices are a part of management. It is something that you will be faced with every single day. Then middle level management. Middle level management is in between. It's neither. The middle level managers do not have too much work and too much responsibility. They do not have the same kind of freedom that someone at the floor level has. In other words, if you are the middle level management, you will find that you have a lot of work. You'll also find that you have responsibility, but there are bosses whom you have to answer to. In other words, your boss, the senior level manager, will be constantly asking you questions. And as a result of that, you might find that occasionally you get burnt out. A lot of middle level managers get burnt out after a few years because of excessive work. This happens all over the world. Sometimes it just becomes too much, and people change jobs, or people simply burn out and leave. And functions of middle level management is to act as a go between the lower level and the upper level, to act as a middleman, okay, to coordinate the supervisors and the workers, and coordinate with them the upper level managers, that is the CEO, the CFO, okay, the chief financial officer or the chief executive officer. They also need coordination, and the middle level managers act as a go between them. Bottom level management, of course, this is the lower level. They are also called supervisors and jobbers at the bottom level. These supervisors and jobbers, some of them may not have a regular job. Okay, they may be daytime workers. They may come and go. You know, after a couple of weeks, they may have to leave, and new people take their place. They may be daily wage earners also. But these people are at the bottom level. Although they are at the bottom level, they are important, because without them, the entire unit would not function. Just think about this, that the Prime Minister, the Chief Ministers, other ministers, where would they be if they did not have bureaucrats to help them? Without the bureaucrats and without the lower functionaries in each department, in each ministry, the minister would find himself helpless. There is no way a minister can accomplish anything without the help of his bureaucrats and lower level officers. So in the same way, bottom level managers and bottom level supervisors and jobbers are equally important. Okay. Also, the major function, now what is the function of management? The first one is planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling. These are all, and of course coordinating. These are all different functions of management. Whenever, supposing you want to organize a school picnic, someone has to be in charge. A teacher may actually be put in charge of organizing the picnic by the principal. The teacher then passes on the responsibility to a few students. So you see, this is not just passing on the buck, passing on the responsibility. It is like sharing responsibility, sharing work. The teacher asks a few responsible students to gather information, to ask for names who wish to go for picnic, where they would like to go, how much money they would like to spend, and things like that. So you see, it's all about organizing. This is what it takes, organizing. And of course, think about our own school. Now we have got about a staff of 90 people. Okay, some of them are teachers, some of them are not teachers, some of them are regular, some of them are not regularly employed. There are fourth level employees, that is peon and the day maid servants and so on, they are regular employees, but they may not have proper salary and things like that, but they are all very much a part of the school. Now that constitutes what is called staffing. Tomorrow, if a couple of maid servants do not show up, you will find that the classrooms are not swept, cleanliness is not what it used to be, and therefore even those maid servants are important. Every single staff member has an importance in the whole scheme of things. Not just the principal or teachers, the non-working employees of the school, the non-working staff also, they have their importance in the school. The same thing applies in a large business unit like rayon factory or anything else, wherever you go. A large unit has large number of staff members. The only difference is that a small unit has less members, but the importance cannot be denied. Coordination and directing. You see, the principal directs because he is the boss of the institution. His job is to direct. Directing is not just about pointing out. Directing is about efficiency. To bring out the best in other people, you need to give them proper direction. You see, at your age, someone has to be there to direct you constantly. You may be good at what you do. You may have the desire to study and do well. But if there is no one to direct your efforts, you will not get the maximum or the best results. If someone is there to guide you, to help you, to direct you, then you will see that your efforts will bear much better fruit. This is where teachers come into the picture. You see, the principal directs the teachers direct the students. And in so doing, a chain reaction is set up. Okay, from the top level, the principal, and right up to the student level. and that is what creates a cohesive effort, everyone working together. So the art of directing is not about simply issuing commands. It's not about do this and do that. It's about why you should do this or why you should not do that. It's important that people are made to self-respect themselves. Okay, and there is no place for insult and arrogance. Directing doesn't involve insulting people. It does not involve abusing other people. It simply means getting other people to do what is required by instructing them to do it. So staffing, organizing, controlling, coordination, these are all characteristics of management. A good manager is able to do all this successfully. And finally, there is another thing also that one has to consider. See, there are different aspects of marketing. Like, for example, a chief executive officer has to think about financial planning, marketing and advertisement. He has to also think about other employees and the benefits of those other employees. And then there are other things like, if it's a productive unit, and unit that engages in production, then he has to manage production also. Purchase and sale is a part of that, so he has to manage all that. These are all different arms of the same unit. So a manager has to be skilled at all these things, not just about handling people, but how he is going to get the best results from these people. In modern times, you see, HRD, human resource management or human resource development, has become a very important integral part of every business unit. Our own Rayon factory has got its HRD department, okay, and the head of the HRD department is actually the secretary of the school. Human resources development, developing human resources is a vital part. Even the Indian government has a ministry, HRD ministry. It is a completely novel idea. In the last 20-30 years, HRD has developed. But why? Because human beings are considered the most valuable resource. Yes, we have lots of natural resources, but of all the natural resources, it is humans who are the most important. And managing these resources properly is vitally important. For example, if a talented person talent is not being properly utilized, then that's a waste of human resource. That is called underemployment. When a person is skilled, he has certain talent and advantages, and if his talent is not being properly utilized, then that is mismanagement of human resources. And this is where HRD manager plays an important role. He manages the affair of all the people working in the factory. Now, for the time being, all students are requested just to go through the question and answers of this particular chapter. Read the lesson once, quickly read it so that you get an idea of it. And if you have any questions, by all means ask me. Next time I'm going to take one lesson from economics. Till then, all the best.